expecting a very loud noise from the Vulcan, well, she can sneak up on you as well. But when they turn on the taps on those 4 big Olympus engines, I think you'll probably... And sitting in the right-hand seat, not captaining today, is the chief pilot of the Vulcan to the Sky Trust, Martin Withers, DFC. Yes, that Martin Withers, the one who flew Vulcan 607 down to the Falkland Islands 30 years ago this year and dropped 21 1,000-pound bombs on Port Stanley, 2 of which hit the runway. And that's about par for the course for World War II unguided bombs. So Vulcan coming back in towards us. As I say, this is her first display. They've not had many practices at this, so they're doing pretty much the same thing as last day. The aeroplane that was to become the Vulcan was first drawn on a scruffy piece of paper in 1946 by the man who designed the amazing Lancaster. She eventually flew in 1952, by which time, sad to say, Roy Chadwick, the great Lancaster and Vulcan designer, had died in an aircraft crash. But his work was taken on by Stuart Davis, and so 11 years after the Lancaster flew, this aeroplane flew. But you might think they came from different centuries. Eventually 136 of them were built, and with the contemporary Valiant and Victor, it had been designed to carry the British nuclear deterrent until submarine-launched nuclear missiles came along in the mid-60s, and Vulcans lost their awesome responsibility of providing the quick reaction alert nuclear deterrent. And when they did that, they changed their colour. They'd been brilliant white anti-nuclear flash, and they changed to this camouflage scheme, becoming low-level operating conventional bombers, although still capable of nuclear weapons. And of course it was in that role that they carried out this Falklands raid 30 years ago, which was at the time the longest bombing raid in history, 7,760 miles, which is further than from here to Santiago in Chile. This particular aeroplane was the first B-2 version of the bomber, the second Mark, into RAF service in Bomber Command in 1960. Martin Withers sitting in the right-hand seat and Phil O'Dell sitting in the left-hand seat. The third man of the crew is the Air Electronics Officer, Barry Macefield, very important man in the Vulcan crew. He runs all the electrics, sometimes known as the electric bomber, very complicated electrics in the aircraft. And during operational days, we've had 2 navigators as well. 1 radar navigator, 1 bomber navigator. All doors open. There you can see where those 21 1,000-pound bombs fit. That's what she was designed to do. Also designed for a very big nuclear weapon. But eventually, right at the end of her service days, carrying that 21,000 pounds, 10 tons give or take, of bombs. So this very elegant colour scheme, distinctive camouflage, which looks so good against those white puffy clouds. She carries the Lincoln coat of arms on her tail fin, because of course Lincoln was thought of as the centre of bomber country. And the panther's head of number 1 group on the nose, representing all of the Vulcan squadrons in the 1970s. And the more recent addition, the spirit of Great Britain, is painted on her nose, because she does encapsulate, I believe, all that we like to stand for. The great British never say die, bulldog spirit, because of course this aeroplane has lurched from financial crisis to financial crisis, even threatening to sack all the paid engineering staff several times. But she's still here, thanks to the doors closing. So we talked about the two saviours of this aeroplane, David Walton, who bought her originally, and Robert Fleming, has stayed as the boss of the Vulcan to the Sky Trust. We've done absolutely and as you can see, she is almost as manoeuvrable as a fighter. In fact, in the very early days of her displays, at the very early Farnborough days, the first time she was ever seen in public wasn't very long after her first flight in the Drake. Her only fault, the test pilot rolled her completely round in a small barrel roll that looked pretty much like a well, I've been going on about the money, but it really is important. She still needs it. And when she's down, she will be positioned by the Vulcan Village in the Cold War exhibition off to the right-hand end of the display line. You'll be able to pick it out, and she'll be there. You should please go down to the Vulcan Village and make yourself known. They'll be really happy to see you. All sorts of good things to buy and ways of supporting this magnificent aeroplane, doing a low, slow, wheels down, fly past. Now, you will perhaps be wondering, if you haven't been following this closely, why it is that we need all this money for people to come and give it. Well, the original business plan did include major commercial sponsorship, and honestly, everything that could have been has been tried, but it hasn't happened, although we are still trying to pump the project strongly to the industry. But we're still making money. We're flying her 21 times more, at least this season. We hope for some others. And of course, whenever we get the big Vulcan Village out, which is what's here today, or sometimes a smaller version, then we really depend on people going to see her. And it's strange that we haven't got a named sponsor. No one's come forward. It's odd that, because one of the things that she does outstandingly well is to inspire and excite the next generation of British engineers and designers by her example of what can be achieved. So I would have thought big companies would be queuing up to support her. And there it was. If you've not heard it before, that was the famous Vulcan howl. All sorts of theories as to why that happens. I don't think anybody really knows. But anyway, it's a unique Vulcan sound with the 4 Rolls-Royce Olympus engines, about 16,000 pounds of static thrust each. So she's going to land from the left. She's going on the downwind leg at the moment, that flight path parallel to the runway. She's getting her wheels down and getting her pre-landing checks done before she lands from left. And also please go down to the village where you can find out about the website and the Vulcan app via mobile and Twitter and Facebook and all those things. So she's, we're doing our best in front of the public eye and keep her going. We're just about to touch down. She does have a big braking parachute, but I suspect she won't use it here on this 10,000 foot runway. She doesn't need to. It's very expensive every time she uses the braking parachute. But occasionally we can use it, but it's not strictly necessary. But I noticed that the pod is keeping the nose up, which means that the oncoming airflow is hitting that huge delta wing, that absolutely enormous slab of metal, and that's slowing the aircraft down. You drop the nose down at the very last minute. There's the nose wheel coming down, all 18 wheels down on the ground. The Vulcan has landed. And am I happy to see her?